Desde Las Vegas, Nevada, iniciamos con el programa Hablando de bienes y raíces con Castillo y sus invitados. Comenzamos.
Good morning, Las Vegas. My name is Castillo. We're starting here our show Hablando de bienes raíces con Castillo y sus invitados. Estamos aquí en el estudio de Equity Title. Today we have a really great guest. Personal friend of mine. I love what she does in the real estate industry out there. So we are going to go ahead and give our guest an introduction. Elda, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, JC. Doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. And thank you for taking the time to come out here and visiting with me in the podcast. And if you could go ahead and give me your name, your last name, what do you do in the industry, what company you work for, and how people could get a hold of you, I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Elda Monarrez. I, of course, hablo español. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I've been in the industry for, it's going to be almost 2 years. And you can get hold of me through my Instagram handle, Elda _ realtor, or my phone number, 702-400-2950. It's super easy to get hold of me via text message or a call. I love a personal interaction a little bit more than even online.
I love that. I love that because, you know, everybody has social media now. Everybody has, you know, your Instagram and your Facebook and everything. And one of the things that I really liked about, because you and I had lunch not too long ago, and you're like, oh, I'm just really struggling about doing stuff with social media and everything.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now, you just got really consistent and putting messages out there. And your messages are phenomenal because you're educating the consumer, you're making sure that they understand what's happening in the current market, and then also you're promoting your listings and, you know, your successes when you close on a transaction and everything. So let me ask you a question. I know it was a difficult transition to really engage in social media, but how has that changed or how has that impacted your business recently when you started really being more active in social media?
You know what? It was a little difficult. It's not easy for me to be on camera. And I think looking at it that perspective of, I really want to share my story out there. I want to share with everybody everything I'm learning, all the great things about real estate. I mean, there's so much to learn. There's so much to share. So there was a point where I just started talking to the camera and people were just listening on the other side. So it's really nice. I love engaging. I love the questions that people have. I'm always open for a quick conversation, even if it's just something minor.
Right.
So it really has made a difference, I think, ever since I decided to just be a little bit more public about what I'm doing. And I know a lot of the times it's not exactly about a transaction, even though those, of course, I love to share. I get very excited about my first-time home buyers, for example.
Right.
But I'm also sharing some of the struggles as well. I mean, it's difficult, for example, holding an open house in the summer.
Yes.
It is outrageous. I mean, you have to cross big streets if you want to put the sign in the best location, for example. So I find myself doing unique things that I never thought I would do, and sharing that with the public, I feel like lets them understand what you really go through in order to be able to help more people.
Yes. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I love what you just said, right? Showing the audience, showing the consumers, showing the people that think that real estate agents really, you know, have it easy, showing them really how hard it is to set up for a, like you said, an open house, right? You got to make sure that the signs are pointed correctly. You have to have enough signage. You got to make sure that you are doing everything that you can to bring as many people to that open house, because you have a responsibility to your seller to showcase their home. Right.
Absolutely.
And by you doing videos and saying, hey, here I am setting up a sign, you know, to people it's like, oh my God, it's just putting up a sign. But no, there's a strategic way to put the sign. And you have learned that very quickly in your career, which makes a difference. So that's why a lot of sellers, you know, or a lot of clients that want to sell, they're calling you because they're seeing your activity. And that is phenomenal, because a lot of us do things behind the scenes and nobody ever sees what we do. We just see the final product, right? Oh, here's the keys and everything. But no, there is a process that you do for everything, right?
Absolutely. There's different ways of marketing the listing that you have. And not a lot of people do open houses because they are pretty difficult, right? It takes a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of marketing the property itself, not just you, right? So door knocking, for example, all the neighbors, letting them know the plan, the date, the time of the open house, marketing it online. So yes, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes in being a real estate agent. And again, I think the showing that through my videos has been imperative, right? Kind of shining a light on those difficult moments that really make real estate what it really should be, right? We want to make sure we do the best for the clients. We want to make sure that we are marketing their house appropriately and to the best of our ability. So that's definitely something I strive for every transaction or every deal I have.
Right. And I highly recommend, if you're not following Elda, I suggest you definitely do. Her social media, it's phenomenal. It's always educational. It's always showing the highlight house of the week. I mean, just a lot of great tips that she puts on, which again, right, there's 16,000 plus real estate agents, maybe 10,000 of them are out there in social media, but you have to make yourself different. And like you say, you're utilizing what you do every day, which is, calling, door knocking, and and let's talk about door knocking because it's not easy. It's super hard. And let's be honest, a lot of people do not want to be bothered, but you have to have an approach. You have to be a very charismatic person to have somebody come in and be like, hey, I'm here to tell you I'm going to be having an open. I mean, it's a totally thing that you got to practice. So how is the door knocking different from when you used to do it before, that you had no option or you had no open houses to invite people with? Have you seen the difference that now it's maybe a little bit more friendly, or is it still as difficult as it's always been, door knocking?
Well, to be honest, I think that door knocking is a little bit more difficult than before in the aspect of society changing. I feel like society is a little bit more protective of their safety and well-being, so they don't open the door as often and as easily as they used to many years ago.
Correct.
But from the beginning of my career to now, I have definitely learned a few tips here and there as far as improving how many people are actually engaging or how I'm engaging with them during a door knocking experience, right? So for those people that don't actually have the no soliciting sign at the door, aside from those people, I want to make sure that I dress appropriately. I want to make sure that I look friendly, so that if they're looking to the peephole, I'm not so close up, for example, to not show them who I am. I want to make sure I show them I am holding flyers, I'm holding something of value. So I feel like I do have definitely a different approach than I did at the beginning of my career, and therefore a little bit more success. I also do a lot of, again, advertising online to let people know from afar that I'm hosting an open house in their neighborhood. So things have definitely changed, but as I was mentioning, from before, many years ago, people were absolutely willing to open the door to anybody, whereas now the general idea of door knocking has become a bit more difficult.
Well, I mean, nowadays everybody has a Ring camera, so they talk to you from the back of the house and saying, please leave me something on the door. Oh, I'm not available right now. So it has definitely changed, but I think that the approach is what makes a big difference. I knew a real estate agent in California that when she went door knocking, she had a t-shirt that said, I'm a realtor, please don't shoot. And it sounds funny, but you know what? It's a visual thing, right? Because the transition, like you said, from, camera Ring doors now are so much more popular that you have to have something where people understand that you're doing your job, which is, hey, I'm inviting you to the open house. And, I would love to hear that conversation that you're having with those neighbors, because we know that when there is an open house and it's a successful open house like the ones that you host, there's a lot more traffic, there's a lot of parking issue, and some neighbors might get a little upset, but you have to have that conversation with them to let them know the expectations of what the weekend is going to look like in their neighborhood, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the next door neighbors, the neighbors across, those are the ones I normally target the most. I want to make sure I don't just invite them, but also let them know what to expect, indeed.
Right.
Let them know I'm hosting an open house sign. May I put my house sign in front of yours, for example, because sometimes I've had the situation where they don't like anything on their personal property per se. And so just giving them that heads up definitely makes their guard come down and make it feel more welcome for myself and for my clients that are coming to visit us.
And it's incredible because, again, right, everybody does open houses. We see them all the time. They have become way more popular than they were a couple of years ago. But you're right, there is a system to have a successful open house, because at the end of the day, you want to showcase the seller's home. You want to showcase their property. Sometimes people come in and they might be ready to purchase, but let's be honest, 80% of the people, they have no idea even how to start purchasing. So that is another conversation within the property, right?
Yes.
You have to have those conversations with those people that, I've never thought, I don't even know what to do first to do that. And then you have to also understand that aspect, because now all of a sudden you're talking to a buyer. You have to put the buyer's, professional hat on and say, well, you will need to do with this, and you need to talk to a lender, and then you go back and forth from the selling side to the buyer side within that open house. Isn't that really what you as a professional need to do, which is hand out information to anybody that walks into the door, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And that's actually one of the things that I love about what I do. The open houses really allow me to be able to guide every single person that comes in, because yes, you're right. Probably over 50% of the visitors are going to be just people that are wanting to see what the neighbor did, what kind of upgrades they did, what are they really selling the house for. But amongst that curiosity is also the idea of, is it possible for me to buy a house later down the road? If they did this and got this much for the property, what can I do? So I think being very open-minded while I'm in the open house, open-minded as far as understanding every single person's questions and their needs has really helped me out. I usually have information for the buyers. I have information for sellers. I have information for people that are coming from California or from another state, so that if they just want to know a little bit more about this particular neighborhood, I have all kinds of information and conversations that I hold with them about it. So just providing all kinds of information to the variety of interested visitors is really important.
You just said something that made me really think about, and I don't have to host open houses. I mean, sometimes I attend on the weekend to, the open houses that are out in the neighborhood and everything, but there's a lot of people that come from California that are here just to do open houses because they're thinking of moving. They want to see what the market is doing. So the actual showing of the home, how important is for the seller to understand that we don't need all your furniture. We need to make sure that the house shows in a simple manner. We don't, because I know that also that affects the potential buyers, for them to come in and see that all of a sudden they have like 17 couches in a living room, right? So you also have to train your seller to have a successful open house. Otherwise, you're doing everything you can, but also the visual part of the open house might not be as successful that you need to be. So those conversations with the sellers, how to prepare to an open house, how does that conversation go so they understand that you're doing this for their benefit?
That's a great point, JC. A lot of people have difficulty looking through the vibrant colors or the purple sofa or things like that, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure we appeal to the majority of the visitors. So we want to have a home that's decluttered, a home that is more, that you're able to show the color scheme, for example, that will be more pleasant to the eye of the majority of viewers.
Right.
So lighter tones in the furniture, less amount of things on top of the counter. So those are the things that you do have to have conversations with the sellers prior to even hosting an open house. We want to make sure they're aware of having it ready and presentable for all those visitors. It makes a big difference. It really does.
Yeah, because I've walked into open houses that we Latinos are very, very proud of our religion, and then you see these pieces of this big Jesus crucified in the living room, and that just as a buyer, you might like the house, but that's the thing that you're kind of remember, like, man, I remember that picture, or I remember this, and we have to take that focus from the actual selling of the home. Right, you got to make sure that you focus on your selling of the home. You have to prepare the property in a manner that it shows well. That's why new home sales are so successful, because they actually hire professional stagers to come in and just put in the best furniture that they can, and the lights, and they do a lot of work, and they spend a lot of money with that. So you guys have to try to get the sellers to understand that, we need to showcase everything. We're a neutral thing. A lot of the times I know I've heard agents saying, we've had a conversation with the seller and saying, well, if you just change the colors of the wall to a more neutral color where people could think and come in and say, oh, this white wall, I'm going to paint it, yellow. I'm going to paint it my favorite color, red. I'm going to paint it, just different little things, right? You give them that opportunity for them to start thinking, oh, I could definitely potentially live here. Unlike, I don't like that purple and green, room, right? Because they will remember that type of characteristics from the home, correct?
Yes. So the character of the home could definitely attract the right kind of person once you find it, but it's really hard when the character is very unique. So again, you do want to appeal to the majority of people. So pastel colors, the professional stage setting that you're speaking of is such a key point. That's exactly why new builds sell a lot, right? Because everybody thinks they are more well lighted, the furniture is great, and you can visualize yourself living there. So yes, that's definitely something we want to make sure our sellers are prepared or think about. The lighting is so key, JC. The lighting makes such a big difference in how it looks. Yellow lighting versus white lighting. White lighting makes spaces look and feel more spacious. They make walls look taller. Yellow lighting makes them look a little bit more cozy and inviting, but also smaller. So there's some little things to think about. Those kind of things is what we talk to our sellers when we are getting ready for pictures for their listing or for their open houses. I like to go over all the little things that will make a difference.
That is awesome because again, right, it's an art to showcase homes.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, you have a marketing team that you work with to take pictures of your listings.
Correct.
You don't take pictures with your phone because it's an iPhone 15 and this has the, whatever. But no, you leave what the professionals need to do, which is highlight the house in the best manner with the best lighting and everything. So whenever you're taking listings, you're telling your sellers, hey, Mr. Seller, my marketing team is going to come by this day, but these are the things that you need to take care of, right? Make sure that there's no dishes in the dishwasher. Make sure that the sink is not full of dishes, right? Make sure that the backyard is clean. I mean, they have to also do their part to help you showcase their home to the best of your ability with the professional business partners that you have to hopefully get the most amount of money for their home, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So essentially, when we are taking a listing, it's still a partnership. We're being hired in order to sell a property, and it is up to us to get our knowledge passed down to the seller, as well as all of our teams that we work with, our photographers, our videographers, our home stagers, blenders. All of our team will help us to make sure we showcase it properly.
Correct.
And so this is the thing that we do share and help our sellers with, but the sellers must understand their part in it. It's a big role. They do have to have it clean, decluttered, prepared. They have to follow our advice. Otherwise, it's going to be that much more difficult to sell for sure.
And I know that there's a lot of dog lovers out there.
Yes.
Please.
But it's very hard to show with a dog or a pet.
Right? I mean, they're like, don't let Oscar the cat leave of the room. Like, people are walking in and out of rooms. They're showcasing. They're looking at your home for everything. They're opening closets. They're opening cabinets. They're opening, doors here and everything. They want to see the house. And when you have a pet, sometimes it makes it difficult, especially if it's an unfriendly pet, and a dog type of thing, right? Because you don't want to put them out in this heat. You don't want to put them out in the backyard. Yes. So it has to be planned. So, maybe that period of time that you have the open house, you could tell your seller, hey, you know what? We love your dog, but, how about if somebody that is super scared of dogs walk in, they're not going to be enjoying to viewing your home. They're going to be more worried about, oh my God, is the dog going to come and get you? So, maybe you should take your dog and go for the day to, I don't know, Mount Charleston, right? So there are conversations that are extremely important for you as a professional to have with the seller, so like that they understand the expectations of what a successful open house is going to be. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're 100% right. So not just the open house, but even taking the listing.
Yes.
I always tell them, a listing and an open house is going to be a lot more successful if the house itself is vacant.
Yes.
Now, of course, it's not always the case. We
Correct.
do have somebody that needs to sell in order to buy or vice versa. So I definitely work with everybody's needs, but essentially you're going to get more for your buck and a faster sell if you're listing your home. When the house is vacant, properly lit, decorated correctly, properly cleaned, the photos are correct, and that allows us to do open houses for longer periods of time, for example. That allows us, to be able to take the pictures of your home faster. That also allows us to just work in a much easier way than, if we have to work with tenants or yourself as an owner. So these are very hard conversations to have at the beginning, but it's important to have them at the beginning when you are setting the expectations.
Oh,
as a professional.
I love hearing you say that. It's a conversation that we must have in the beginning before they even sign the contract.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because like you said, tenants, let's talk about tenant.
Oh, no.
You're shaking your head. But,
Yes.
sellers do not understand that if the tenant is a difficult person to show the homes, the house most likely is not going to be a successful sell.
I'll tell you a little bit of my story this past week. There is a house that my buyer and I were interested in viewing, but the house has been at the market over 400 days.
Oh my God.
And the reason for that is because the house has a tenant who is not very cooperative.
Yes.
Of course, it's not of the tenant's interest to allow us to go see the house, because if we don't see it, we don't buy it.
Correct.
And then they get to stay a little bit longer, which is absolutely not a good position for the seller to be in,
That
right?
is so
Because
true.
the seller wants to sell. But when the tenant is not cooperative in when to make themselves available for a viewing, then that puts the seller in a negative position, that puts the buyer in a position where that could have been a potential great home for them. But now we're not sending offers if we're not seeing a home nowadays. Right now, our buyers want to see the property. They want to compare. I mean, there's over 6,000 listings available in the market. So imagine, why would I want to send an offer to something I haven't seen when I have so many other options that I can see? I can be sure I like it. I know the structure is great. I know the location's great. So it's definitely a problem to have a tenant as a seller.
Yeah.
So again, having that conversation at the beginning with your professional agent is super important.
Right. And it's really, really, really interesting, because a lot of the sellers, I know that they have a tenant because obviously the mortgage needs to get paid. But sometimes the conversation of maybe you should have the property vacant, and if we price, and this is the statement that's going to make the thing. If we price the home to sell, right? Not what you think, Mr. Seller, the property is worth, but if you price the home to sell, it might sell under a month. Well, now you don't have the mortgage to worry, but they keep on prolonging that situation because like, oh, I got to pay the mortgage. The mortgage has to be paid. Well, the tenant pays on time. Yeah, but he's also making it difficult to sell. And that's a different type of, very professional conversation to have with your seller, because price point is what sells properties.
Correct, especially in this market.
Yes.
The price point and pricing it according to the market, not according to what the seller thinks is worth, is super important. That could be the difference between selling it in 3 days versus selling it in the average days in the market, which is about 56 at this point in time, right? So if you're overpriced, you're going to be chasing the market for a very long time, and ultimately you're going to end up paying or getting less money than you even expected at the beginning. It's less money than if you had sold it or priced it correctly since the beginning.
And I love that because you are right. Study after study, data after data shows that the seller loses more money by trying to sell it at the price that they think it is than actually putting it to what the market value is dictating. And let's be honest. Let's explain something to the sellers. Mr. Sellers out there that you guys are listening to me. It doesn't matter what you list the property for. What matters is what the buyer is willing to pay for your home. And that's a big, huge difference, right?
It's a huge difference, and I feel like a lot of people don't really understand that part. We can do comparables around the market. We can show you what the home can be sold for, but at the same time, if the buyer is not willing to pay that, the buyer is really the one determining the true price of the house.
Yes, and that is so true, and so many sellers really hate to hear that, but it's the reality. Because let's think about this, Elda. You have 2 listings in the same street. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet, 7,000 square foot lot. It's priced at almost the same, maybe $5,000 difference between one and the other. One of them has a pool, the other one doesn't. Which one becomes more valuable to the buyer that they're looking out there, right?
Right. Is the value of the interest of the buyer.
Exactly.
If the buyer's looking for a pool, you're still going to go with the one with the pool.
Exactly.
They are more willing to pay that extra $5,000 for that pool.
Right.
So it makes a big difference. So the market is part of what's determining the price, but the rest is the buyers.
Exactly. And that's awesome that we're talking about this, Elda, because again, it shows me that in your career, you have really embraced the professionalism side of the real estate side. Right. I always tell people, the agents that I invite here, I don't believe that you guys are salespeople. You guys are consultants. You guys are consulting your 100%. Clients for them to make the best decision that they can. Because also dealing with a seller is a totally different mindset than dealing with the buyer. Correct?
Oh, 100%. The conversations are very different.
Yes.
With a buyer, I am really here to just teach and guide, right? I can show you what's available. We can verify the best loan officers, for example, that would fit your needs. And we're out there trying to get you the best deal. Right now is definitely a buyer's market where there's so many choices for you. You don't really have to settle. Right. A lot of the times, somebody has chosen a home, and at the end of the day, they decide, you know what, I didn't want it because there was another one that just came on the market. So some of those transactions that are already in pending status, per se, they are falling off because there's so much inventory out there. Now, when we are having that kind of consultation with a seller, it's so important that they understand that aspect of the market. They have to understand that if you are not competitive with your prices, if you are not flexible with what you're being offer or what you are offering to the buyer, then the odds are they're not going to really put up with you because there are so many options. So it is a harder conversation to tell that to a buyer who has invested a lot of time, a lot of love, and a lot of money into their home, and is just really wanting to get the best price for their house, right? So it's hard to tell them, yes, you put a lot of that energy into your home, but at this point, all we can get you is what the buyer is willing to pay.
Right.
So that is definitely not easy to tell someone, right?
Right.
But it is what we must do.
Yes. And I think it's important, again, right, to have those conversations, to let them know what the expectations from the buyer side is, because, right now, like you say, there's over 6,000 homes. Mm-hmm. I personally think that this is the best time to buy, because sellers are willing to give closing costs, and they're willing to, trade off, certain things, because they do want to sell their homes. If we wait a little bit longer, when there's a buyer, when there's a buying frenzy, then now you're in a different position, because now you're paying for, overpriced, highest and best. I mean, it could flip like this. So right now it's a great opportunity to start looking to, hey, there's 6,000 homes. Maybe I could afford one of them. Maybe I should buy one of them. But also, like you say, having those conversations with the seller of saying, hey, Mr. Seller, look, you got 6,000 other competitions out there. Yeah, not all are in the same price range, not all are the same. But again, we have to remove the emotional part of selling, and we have to be able to just look at the house just what it is, right? Because at one point the house becomes the house becomes a home, and that's when the attachment comes in. That's where the sentiment comes in, right? And you have to be able to go back and say, no, at the end of the day, it's just a house. And the sellers need to understand that, where how am I going to help you get the most amount of money, the shortest time in the market, with 6,000 other homes competing with. So, it is a conversation that must happen from the beginning. And I love that you say that. You set the expectation from the beginning before you even sign the contract. Because the worst thing to do is sign the contract and then have this conversation with the seller. Most likely,
go well.
It's not going to go well, right?
No, that definitely doesn't go well.
Right.
So it's important to have those conversations at the beginning, indeed, set those expectations, and make sure you're both on the same page, right? Because ultimately, the most difficult thing is having to reduce the price so much where the seller is no longer happy, right? So just price it correctly at the beginning, and know the expectation here, and the motives, right? What are the reasons for needing to sell this home? Because sometimes there's a little wiggle room, and sometimes they're not. If somebody needs to move out of town, for example, we really need to price correctly. Yes. We don't have that much time, and we must negotiate correctly, right?
Right. And that's really awesome, again, right? Because you need to find the needs of the people. Why are they selling? I was just working on a piece right now when you walked in, which, a lot of the real estate agents I talk to, they're like, oh my God, the market is so rough. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh man, it's so hard to convince the seller or whatever. And I love the fact that you're saying, no, you have to have those conversations prior to your listing. But I said, you know what? There's always 6 different types of real estate transactions happening at any given day, and they do not get affected by interest rate. They don't get affected by sales price. And I call it the 6 Ds, right? Which is diploma, right? When you have a home and your kids are going to move to college, now all of a sudden you have 3 extra rooms, you have to sell.
Correct. Downsizes,
right? Diapers. Well, you know what? You're a young couple, you live in an apartment, now you're going to have a baby, you have a growing family, you have to go ahead and upgrade because now you need more room, right? Divorce. Unfortunately, people get divorced all the time, and it doesn't matter what interest rate is like or what the price is like. They have to sell.
Correct.
They downsize, right? Like you say, they move away. They have to downsize to a smaller apartment or a smaller home, whatever. And the last one is death. Unfortunately, everybody's gonna die. And when people pass away, usually what happens, they leave the property to their kids. They're out of state. They really don't have a need for so they're going to sell regardless what the interest rate is like and regardless what the sales price of the home is. So those transactions are always happening. So I always tell my agents, I said, if you understand that, then you could go ahead and start, following any of those to make sure that you have a successful real estate career. But the other part is, like you say, having that candid conversation with the expectations from the beginning and saying, hey, I know that your parents recently passed away. This might probably go through probate, and we might need maybe 6 to 9 months, maybe a year before we could sell it, right? And having those conversations are really important. So like that, the sellers really see you as a value, see you as a true professional, And you're doing your job to the best of your ability, which is, you know what, I'm representing you to the best of my ability, as long as we all understand what the final outcome is, which is, you know, sell the home quickest, fastest, and shortest time, right?
Yes, you know what, you have a great point here, JC. I think that being in the newer real estate agent market, I have a lot of friends and family that tell me, you know, why have you jumped into this 100% of the time? You know, it's difficult, it's hard, nobody wants to buy. And I truly believe in those 6 C's that you mentioned, because I'm not here to push anybody to buy that doesn't need to buy at this moment. And I'm not here to make anybody sell it that doesn't need to sell.
Right.
I'm truly here just to be able to identify the needs of each individual person that I meet with, each friend that needs my help. I'll help you figure out, is it the right time for you to sell?
Correct.
Is it the right time to buy?
Correct.
Do the interest rates really matter when you need something? But nonetheless, if the interests do matter, then I will help you find the best interest rate too.
Exactly.
And plus, you're not really marrying the interest rate. You marry the house, the price of the house. You're not marrying the interest rate. So that's something that, as long as you're patient, you know, a year or two, whenever the interest rates drop, because we don't really have a crystal ball. We don't know when they're going to drop, and we don't know how much.
Right.
I know for a fact they're not coming down to a 2 or 3% like in COVID, right?
Never.
Right?
Never.
So essentially, I think that my job as a professional is really to understand your needs, my clients' needs. I put them first, sometimes even before mine, right? That's how it should be. I want to make sure I understand what they need. If it's a death, that's a hard conversation.
It is.
If it's a divorce, that's a hard conversation. It is not a tomorrow sale, right?
No.
It's something that you have to really be there for the client, support them as a friend. And I love that. I think one of the main reasons why I'm in real estate is for the relationship building. I'm glad and of course thankful that at some point it will turn into a monetary income for me.
Of course.
But ultimately I'm doing what I like. I like building friendships, and I like to be able to assist people and guide them, right? Again, even if you need a rental at this point, I know a lot of real estate agents don't help people with rental properties. Why? Because it takes so much time, pretty much the same amount of time that it takes to help somebody buy their own home, right?
Correct.
But people don't do it because the income is not the same. So essentially what it comes down to is being able to listen to people, listen to their needs, and really guide them in the right direction, regardless of what that's gonna turn into for me monetary-wise, right?
Right.
So.
Listen, I gotta give you one of these. Honestly, because again, right, you're looking at the aspect of how can I be a partner?
Resource.
How can I be a resource? You need a rental? I could go ahead and set you up in a rental, because the people that I know that work in as property managers, right, they put people in homes. First of all, 1 year of payment history. Credit is a little bit better. They already got used to the neighborhood. And then when the lease comes up, because usually they're going to go ahead and say, well, your rent's going to go up $200 to $300 next year. All of a sudden, they're like, you know what? Maybe I should buy. And at that point, that's where you've been nurturing that relationship with them. And then they come in and say, you know what, Elda, you helped me you helped me get into my rental. You know what? I'm ready to buy now. And that's where that's where you collect the fruits of your labor of helping them with the rental, right? But a lot of agents, they don't see it that way. They're like, you know what? Nope, I don't deal with rentals. It's not enough money. But it's not about the money. It's about helping. The situation, correct?
Exactly. Just helping the people at the stage that they are at.
Right.
I will meet you where you are, and I'll help you get to where you're going.
Correct.
You know, whether that is a rental for now, a purchase later. Again, the divorce situation, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard time. And if all you need is to be able to buy the other person out, then that's fine too.
Right.
I'll help you with comps. I'll help you with an appraisal. I'll help you with however I can.
Right.
And all I get back really is your friendship. And hopefully at some point you think of me whenever you need to officially sell or upgrade, or, you know, you married again and now your partner has 2 more kids. Now you need to upgrade a home.
Exactly.
You know, you just really never know. And I think truly being a real estate agent in this type of market is really a blessing. You're out here really to help. And yes, hopefully at some point that turns into cash flow, right?
Right.
But I think when you're doing the right thing it really pays back.
Well, listen, I'll tell you something, Elda. I've been at this for 25 plus years. The agents that right now are successful, that have, a good book of business, they are closing 3-5 deals a month and everything. They've been at this 15 plus years. They've done exactly what you've done when you started your career. Yes, let's be honest, during COVID, the market got really easy. Everybody was buying houses. I mean, you were overflowing with clients. Well, now it's a little bit different, but the showcasing of your personality, of how professional you are and everything, that's what sets everybody apart. And what you've been doing so far in your career, I think it's just keeping you and molding you to what that successful agent in 15 years, where you're like, I have a team now, I have 7 buyers agents and 3 listing agents, because really you're doing all the right work, which is, setting a foundation of, I'm here to educate, to help people. The commission, yes, it's going to come. And if it doesn't come,
that's okay too.
It's all right? And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a long-term career in the real estate market, especially now, because it is a little bit tough. But, we have successful agents like yourself that, you're like, I'm selling houses, right? Well, other people that have been in the industry, like, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, right? But you're like, no, I found my niche, and this is the way that I'm handling my business. And I applaud you for that, because it's a scary business. Right? I mean, you just came from, having a career in the hotel industry for 12, 15 years, and you're like, I gotta make the jump. I gotta make the jump. And you made the jump. Do you feel that was a good decision for you?
Yes, I will never really take that back. I think I'm 100% in where I need to be.
Perfect.
Yes, I have about 15 years of experience in the customer service industry, just in the hotel industry portion of it, and then in the banking industry prior to that.
Right.
So I'm very familiar with being able to listen to my clients and provide advice, whether that's in banking and how to structure their savings accounts, invest in, or get a loan, whatever questions they have about banking.
Correct.
I was able to guide them. Then later on, I moved on to guiding them into choosing the right type of hotel that fit their family, the right type of activity, and putting a whole itinerary together. So planning it in a way that made sense for them, where it was convenient and they got what they wanted, right? So with all of these years of experience, I'm bringing them over into the real estate world to be able to teach people how to go from step 1 to step 3, right? You get prepared to buy a home. What do you do? What are your 1, 2, 3 portions? And then from there, you're able to get to your goals of home ownership. So I'm still guiding, I'm still coaching, I'm still helping people in the best possible way. So I think that customer service is really what I bring in. So customer service is being able to, again, do what you would do as a what am I trying to say? A coach.
Right.
Okay, like a coach. Yeah. You're being a mentor to somebody, just in a different field.
Correct.
Right? So essentially in real estate, that's really what you need. You need somebody to hold your hand from step 1 to step 10, if that's what it takes. Right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm in the right place. I'm really excited to be able to help more people. My goal is to help at least 20 by the end of the year. So
I think that's a possibility, because again, right, the reason why you're sitting in this podcast is not really only to say, well, I'm a real estate agent and I sell homes. It's for people to really get to know you, get to know your personality. You are very genuine and you really care for the clients that you're working with, because like you said, my biggest compliment is to get a referral, right? If somebody says, hey, you know what, I just bought a house from Elda, she did such a great job, please give her a call. I mean, you can't spend $1 million in advertising for that. That is gold, right? Because people were happy with what you provided for their service. You helped them get their home, and now they're referring you, and that's a long-term career.
Yes,
right?
And it's already started that way.
Nice.
The majority of my clients have been referrals from previous clients.
Beautiful.
So I am very thankful for that. I really take that personal. I really do.
Right.
And that is exactly how I want to grow my business.
Perfect.
I don't buy leads of any sort. I really try to nurture the people that I already know. I really put myself and my whole heart out there.
Right.
So I hope that serves the purpose, right? And like I was saying, just to tie in my customer service experience, I don't consider myself a sales agent, right? I think that customer service comes first.
Yes.
And if there comes a sale thereafter, that's because there was the need for it. So I'm not really here to sell you something that you don't need.
Right. And I think that's phenomenal. You know, one of the things that you said earlier, society has changed. Before it was I need to buy a home, I need to buy a home, I need a home. Now is like, why are you buying a home? Right? Because let's be honest, with a lot of businesses or a lot of jobs, they're still able to, work from home, right? Now your home kind of like becomes your office or becomes your business, right? So it's not just like, oh, it's a home to place with where, I live in the morning, go work somewhere else. And now people literally spend a lot more time in their home, and you got to be able to, understand what the option is, right? You got to understand why they're buying a home. Maybe they want to live closer to the school district that they want, or maybe they want to live closer to work, or maybe they want to live far away from the city. They want to have chicken. I mean, there's so many other reasons why people are buying a home. And by you being in customer service for so many years, you know exactly what to listen for and then fulfill their needs.
Exactly, and asking those open-ended questions that really get to the bottom of the reasons.
Right.
And that's really how you're able to tailor the home to their needs.
Correct.
Right? So a lot of the sales agents, you just listen for the price point and the location, and then here we go. Let's go find you something in that place. But no, it's much more than that.
Yes.
A house turns into a home once you make it that way. So
Correct. Well, Elda, here's the time.
Really?
It is 11 o'clock in the morning, and I told you it was going to fly by.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
No,
I really
thank you.
appreciate your support. I think you're amazing, and thank you for the opportunity for me to talk to my people as well. I think it's important for them to know that they do have not just a professional real estate agent, but a friend as well.
No, and I love that. Again, you know what? You're the first agent that sat here and really talked and dissected what it takes to do a successful open house, and how to set up the expectations from leasing. So definitely keep on doing what you're doing. I think you have a long real estate career in front of you. You're very genuine. You really do care about your clients, and I love that. And listen, there's 16,000 agents out there. I could invite maybe 12,000 of them, but no, I don't want to invite just 12,000. I want to invite the right people to come here, because I think it's important for us to find the right professionals out there. We're out there. Professionals are out there. Yes, the majority of people just, ambulance chasers, they chase commission chasers, but no, some of us really do care about this industry, and that's why the people that are inviting my podcast is those type of personalities, which I love that. So I really appreciate it. Elda, if you want to give me your contact info, how people could go ahead and get a hold of you, please. Instagram handle, cell phone number, whatever, how can anybody could get a hold of you? Because I really do think that you guys need to get a hold of Elda. Talk to her. She'll give you a consultation free of charge. She's not going to hit you over the head and put you in the back of her car and start showing you homes. No, she cares about the process. Elda, please.
Absolutely. The best way to really reach me is via text or a call to my cell phone. So I have 702-400-2950. My website, elda.kw.com. It's also a great way to just log in and start looking at houses that are available, and just that sends the information directly to my cell phone as well, so I can reach back to you, follow up, make sure you are taken care of. And then my email, eldasellshomes@gmail. My Instagram is a great way too, Elda_realtor. And that's it. I'm super easy. 702-400-2950.
Perfect. Well, Elda, thank you so much for taking the time. Again, my name is JC Castillo. You guys could go ahead and get a hold of me at 702-416-4302, 702-416-4302. Please remember, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, if you guys have the power to ask for your title company, do not let your realtor choose for you. If you want good service, we're here to serve you. Again, 702-416-4302. I will be here in the next show. Please make sure you guys behave, take care of each other. If you're in the process of buying, don't worry about the interest rate. The question is, can you afford the payment? If you can afford the payment, talk to Elda. She will put you and find you the great home out there so that you can reap the benefits in the future. So I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next show. Again, take care of each other. Stay hydrated because it is a little hot out there. But we live in Vegas. If you don't understand that it gets hot during July and August, then you're a brand new person watching us here. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you on the next show.